thought it was a really good fit because it was going to be open, there was clarity, and I think it's really a good team building effort for individual men and men as a whole.
Especially teenagers, young adults, those are kind of the ages that people are really falling away from the church, whether that's from societal pressures, whether it's from personal experiences that kind of feels like they're pushed away.
He went to the first meeting very early in the morning. He loves his morning coffee, saw Father Walsh and Deacon saying hello every morning, and he was hooked. So I would say it was really through the endorsement of those he trusted in St. Pius is how he began to give it a try.
My name is Greg Idella. I'm from Loudonville, New York. Originally, I'm from a large Italian-Irish Catholic family. I'm one of 8 children. I've been heavily involved with St. Pius, this great thriving parish, for many years now. I'm an ambassador of goodwill, I'm a lector, and I'm also a core team leader. That man is you.
So my name is Mitch McDonald. I'm 25 years old, and my wife also became part of the church in the last year, so that was a big step for us in our relationship. We've been married for about 2 years, so I started That Man Is You right after the fall after our wedding, and was able to kind of use that as a foundational piece going into what hopefully is a lifelong wonderful marriage.
I've been married for 43 years, my husband and I. As I reflect on kind of the changes that I've observed are subtle. I will mention that my husband has a medical condition, and it's a slowly progressive condition. And the timing of this program was before he was having a lot of symptoms. So he had this camaraderie, this team, this group of guys, and then was met with this condition and the symptoms. And I noticed and observed this calmness, a little more calmness, a little more acceptance of things without fighting it or being frustrated. I noticed he just seemed to be accepting his situation in a much more graceful way, not a passive way, but just a way that was filled with a little bit more grace and understanding, with a sense that he wasn't on that path alone. Setting aside our marriage and our kids, but there seemed to be a sense that he was being guided along. And I'd never really noticed that in him before.
So Father Walsh and Deacon Marty had phoned me just over 2 years ago and said, you know, we're bringing a program for men into St. Pius. Deacon Marty is at the helm. You know, we'd like to sit down and talk with you. They did. They gave me the overview. I said, I think it's something that I can contribute to and be willing to add my talents, you know, to this program at St. Pius, which has been tremendous so far, I feel.
How did I know that That Man Is You the right program for me? I guess one of the biggest things was, I think a lot of people would agree that men are not the most outspoken. They're often these stoic figures, especially in the church. You know, they're not ones that are going to go out and be very public about the way that Christ interacts in their lives. But being able to be here and be a part of the small groups and being able to have those conversations that really I hadn't had before with guys that are my age, they're older, there's always some sort of piece of wisdom that you can take from everybody. And I think that being part of the program and seeing changes, not just in myself but in others, was a really big sign that yes, I'm in the right place.
I think it's with the great leadership of Father Walsh and Deacon Marty with this program, where they said, look, be your authentic self as everyone knows you, and this is the overview of how it's going to run and what we're going to do. You know, it has its set program, and then, you know, what we do on Fridays is ad lib of sort. You know, we're in the parameters. And I said that is something that I like to do with, you know, executive coaching and people of that nature, and what I've done here at St. Pius. So I thought it was a really good fit because it was going to be open, there was clarity, and I think it's really a good team building effort for individual men and men as a whole.
He more comes into any of these challenges that happen in a more thoughtful way. I don't mean that he wasn't thoughtful, but he comes in a way that more reflects that he is a child of God, that he is a man heading up our family, that he is the father of both of our sons, potential grandfather. And it's almost like he's spiritually matured a little bit. And so we are now more addressing these things through our faith more alongside than with a little bit of a difference in our approach.
As I mentioned, like, I started the program a couple months after my wife and I got married, and being able to take a lot of the pieces, the information, the wisdom, the kind of like spiritual direction from the group and instantly instill that into the foundation of our marriage has been very key for us. I think it's one of the reasons that my wife decided to join the church, and that we've been very actively going to Mass every weekend and looking for ways to be involved. So being able to take those foundational pieces is only going to like make our family stronger in the long run. One of the biggest takeaways I have is like really fostering and building that domestic church. So not just the one that when we're here at Mass on Sundays, but on a daily basis, what is our family doing in keeping Christ the center of our lives?
I think it starts with the family structure, and I think that's the biggest, and that's one that is spoken most of, that when we come in we have these questions or videos to reflect on, and then, you know, we reflect within ourselves and then espouse how we feel. And I think it's that family structure first and foremost, and I think that's where it really starts. A lot of societal problems, at least in my encounters with society, it starts at the home, and every home is perfectly imperfect. But I think that within those four walls is where it all starts. And I think if the more you can talk about that in an honest discourse, with honest discourse rather, and knowing that, hey, look, it's not going to always be a straight path, it will go sideways. But I think if you really start and have clarity at the foundation with communication within the family structure, you can always go back to base and then start again to try to get as best as you can that family structure tight, strong, and with love. So I think that's the biggest one that we talk most about in our group is that family structure is huge, and keeping God at the center of that family structure.
The Albany area in general, it can be really hard to find groups to be a part of. At least that was my experience coming to here. So when I found St. Pius and just seeing all that they offered, that was like a really good foot in the door opportunity. And then going to That Man Is You has only made those opportunities even bigger. I've found a lot of different connections to people. I've joined other groups. St. Pius has a really thriving spiritual community that is always going to be supportive. They're always going to be understanding. They're looking to be that welcome, friendly face that you see every week. And by joining That Man Is You at St. Pius, you could be a part of that community, reaching out to others as well.
And I will also add that in general, I see him stronger as a husband. I see him stronger as a father. Our kids, no matter what their ages are, they need a strong father. They need a committed and loving mother. But I think having a strong father who comes from a place of grace and comes from a place of faith is probably the most important asset that any child can ever have. And I see him stronger in that role.
I think to echo what was, you know, a little bit said earlier is, I think this program is great, and at least in my group, I know that when the men come, they're, you know, life is hard at times, and it's also very beautiful. And the men in my group are coming back, you know, having better experiences with their family and children. Not that it's, you know, there's those struggles, some of them are still there, but I think they've blossomed. And I think that, to go back to what we said before, if you're thinking about this program or someone has mentioned it to you, give it a shot. Come out. You personally, anyone's welcome to my group personally, and we'd be happy to find you a fit of what group that you like. But give it a shot. I think it's worth it because there's absolutely, you know, and what's great is, right, you get all these perspectives of the men. Not everyone agrees with everything either. You know, but you come and you have that base, which is God in Christ, and you can always, you know, go back to that, and it's really empowering. And the best thing, truthfully, that I hear from my group when I'm, done with the class for the day, that everyone cannot wait rather for the next Friday to be here. So that's a real testament, I think, to St. Pius and the group as a whole.